But Jake, who sends a $2 super chat. Joe, early signing day was today, and there's a lot of winners and a lot of losers in here. And I think we should start off with the Jake, who gave us a $2 super chat here. The Oregon Ducks had themselves a day, buddy. Your thoughts on the Oregon Ducks early signing day and what they were able to pull off?
Well, it's becoming a trend that every single year we're talking about Dan Lanning going and flipping all these recruits, and anything that you've tuned in over the past few weeks, and then also today talking about and covering recruiting, they've lauded the efforts made by Dan Lanning. If you have a guy that's even on their radar, you should be worried that he is going to change his decision. And the premier aspect of this class is that they signed 2 5-star receivers in DeCorian Moore and Dallas Wilson, 2 very different styles of players. Moore is 5'11", 190, while Wilson, taller, longer player at 6'2", 193. But I think the craziest part, I'm not going to try to butcher his name. JKS, the quarterback from Hawaii, who was committed to Cal, they end up pulling him as well. So they pull all of these quality offensive weapons, their general quality of defensive talent, but adding a blue chip quarterback to an already stellar quarterback room is where this class starts to get scary good. And Dan Lanning just knows how to keep stacking players and amazing depth that's setting them up for long-term success.
Well, just a reminder, DeCorian Moore, when he had first committed to LSU, committed on our show. We went up to Dallas. He had committed on AYS. And I know DeCorian very well. And I'm just going to tell you this right now to you Oregon fans that are in here listening and to everybody watching this clip. I have talked to and had a relationship with DeCorian Moore for a while now. Joe, it's been 2 years since we did his commitment when he went to LSU first. It's not about his athleticism that strikes me. It's his mentality of, I'm going to go be a dog. And I'm just going to tell you, that young man is going to be a dude. Now, they have a special connection with Dallas because of one of their coaches, and they know who I'm talking about here. But to get 2 5-star wide receivers is a massive deal, because now which by the way, you got a kid out of the portal who was a quarterback, you flip a quarterback now in JKS. Why wouldn't you want to go to Oregon and throw those weapons?
Right. Why would you want to go to Cal when you could be throwing to 2 5-stars in 2 years?
I don't know. It's the way that they're doing it, though. And It's not just there either. Trey McNutt, Brandon Findley, Naheed Offord. Joe, not only did they do that with wide receiver and getting an elite talent at quarterback, Joe, their secondary is elite. Like, they're recruiting at an elite level, not a good level, an elite level. They got the number 3 corner in the class. They got the number 2 safety in the class, which I'm just going to say this right now. McNutt might be the number 1 safety in the class because Jonah Williams is a 2-sport athlete. Like, Jonah's going to be playing baseball. Like, his future may be in baseball. So this kid may be the number 1 overall safety in the class. Oh, and by the way, your 4th corner, the 4th corner, they got 4 corners out of the top 10. Dorian Brew is number 7 on 3. So it's not just, Joe, that they're dominating. They had a position of need. They needed to go get receivers. They needed to go get DBs. And, Joe, they went and got the top 4 of the top 10 corners. Well, that is insane.
Didn't mean to jump in on you early there, but remember last year where we talked about how they were super bullish on accumulating as many defensive linemen as possible. They got a ton of edge rushers, defensive tackles. And the philosophy this year was, all right, that part of our defense was really strengthened. And they also were aggressive in bolstering their offensive line. This year, it was, all right, let's go get those guys in the secondary. Let's go get those guys that are going to, play in space and create turnovers and fly all over the field. I think what stands out to me the most with Oregon and why there's no BS when we praise them on this show is that there's just such a clear attention to detail to the way that they're doing this. And a lot of the shows that I listen to that cover recruiting bring this up without me having like the direct context of knowing what it's like being in that office and knowing anyone in that administration. It just feels like the industry of recruiting respects the way that Dan Lanning is going about this.
Mm-hmm.
We said this last year and we made the claim, and I think that this is backing up that claim, that he is building the West Coast version of Georgia. And the way that he is approaching this, of getting the premier blue chippers at specific position groups in one year and then focusing on another position group the next, is the way that he's accomplishing that, by especially having an elite defense that could be very, very tough to move the ball against.
They're number 3 on 3. They beat out Georgia for 0.3 of a decimal point.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's how close that this was. And, Georgia, they just do what Georgia did. They went out and got, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top 50 defensive.
And we know Georgia's good, though. We always know Georgia's good.
That's true. But a big day for Dan Lanning, a big day for Oregon. And Joe, that's the thing. When you have a coach that is recruiting mindset first, this is what you should expect. Now, it's not missed upon me that Oregon, from an alignment standpoint, meaning money, NIL, collective, they're all aligned. And that is why you have this amount of success.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions, with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.